It's time for a new year and it's time for a new series. The Eurocup-3 Spanish Winter Championship saw its first ever race weekend at the historic Circuito de Jerez Ángel Nieto, where rookie drivers showed their mettle against established veterans. Mattia Colnaghi, current Spanish Formula 4 champion, drew first blood by taking pole position for race 1 and after defending his first place at the start from a very lively James Egozi, pulled away in what was clearly the standout performance of the weekend. Meanwhile, the only veteran driver to be able to mix it up with the rookies was Red Bull Junior Team star Nicola Zoloff, who was trying to reach out to the frontrunners as he aimed for a good result with which to start the season. But the drivers coming from Formula 4 knew how to put up a very good fight. Ahead, Maciej Gladysz showed his skills by chasing after Egozi, while his team nervously watched on from the pit wall. But it was not the only fight on track, with Zoloff and Carrasquedo putting on a fantastic show. It was a show that lasted for several laps, with the two drivers vying for position, and it only ended when the Mexican saw his race cut short with unfortunate mechanical issues that saw him forced to retire, much to the relief of his rival. But for Zoloff, that was not enough. The Bulgarian wanted more, and he kept pressing on, to the point of catching Juan Cota, a fierce defender, with just a few laps to go. And he managed to complete what was the best overtake of the weekend around the outside of the Spaniard. The action was worth a fourth place behind race winner Mattia Colnaghi, James Egozi, and Maciej Gladysz for a rookie 1-2-3 and a crystal clear promise by the upstarts. They are here to stay. The sprint race with a reverse grid saw Andrés Cárdenas and Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. keep MP Motorsport ahead, with a front row lockout that allowed them to stay on top in a start where Jules Caranta failed to get off the line and fell to the back of the group. The action was therefore elsewhere, once again with Nicola Zoloff making a show of his excellent racecraft with a second overtake round the outside in two races, this time over Polish driver Kacper Stuka, his teammate from Campos Racing. Further behind, the other Red Bull Junior Team driver, Jules Caranta, was starting to mount an impressive comeback that would see him reach 10th place, just outside the points-paying positions, but with the fastest lap and 1 point for his efforts after all. The winter cold put some drivers in tricky positions, like Oscar Wurz here, luckily able to continue after he scared at the top of the hill before the back straight. And as often is the case in Jerez, the hairpin after set back straight was the perfect place to make an attempt on a rival's position. Thai driver Tasanapolin Trapovasak was one of those that made it stick, with one of several successful moves in this infamous corner remembered for the 1997 Formula 1 World Championship conclusion. And further up the field, Juan Cota proved why he was one of the big surprises of the 2024 Spanish Formula 4 Championship. Where others struggled, he made it a point to push the race leader, Andrés Cárdenas, who was forced to give it his all to stay ahead, while the rest of the field used the remaining few laps to sort out their battles. In the end, Cárdenas took the win, ahead of Cota and Fittipaldi. Two race wins in as many races for the rookies, with just one more to go. And it would be this last race of the weekend that would bring the most action on track, with Maciej Gladysz on pole position and Jules Caranta starting from second place and very hungry after his comeback during the sprint race. The start was always going to be crucial. And it was the Frenchman who came out on top after the first corner thanks to a fantastic getaway. Behind them, Nikola Tsolov was almost able to replicate his teammate's successful first few meters, initially settling behind Gladysz before he made it a 3 out of 3 when it comes to overtakes around the outside. Simply sensational once again. This put the two Red Bull Liberate cars in the first two places, which allowed them to lead the race and try to escape from their rivals. Behind them, the action stayed as intense as ever, with drivers fighting for position in every latitude imaginable. But it was always going to be the duel for first place between teammates that would stir the imagination of the fans, as well as giving Campos Racing something to worry about. Just outside the top 3, Colnaghi and Inter tried their best to chase the front runners, well aware that with just 3 rounds in this Spanish Winter Championship, every single point counts even more than usual. And just like with every good story, there was even a fair amount of foreshadowing, with Alan Gidek and Lenny Reed crashing out at the exit of the hairpin during their scuffle. As a result, the race was briefly neutralized behind the safety car, and after the restart, and with time ticking down, the fight between Caranta and Tsolov quickly intensified, with both drivers wanting to finish the weekend on a high. Arriving into the hairpin, the Bulgarian driver tried to outbrake his teammate, who in turn held the outside line. Contact was inevitable, and the consequences very different between the two drivers. While Gladysz made the most of the situation by taking the lead, Tsolov limped his way back into the pit lane, leaving Caranta to hold second place, albeit without the necessary pace to challenge the new race leader. Behind, the rest of the group made sure to use the remaining time on track wisely, which in motorsport terms means alternating attack and defense depending on your own position. Meanwhile, Colnaghi benefited from the situation to climb up to third place on a day where he knew he wasn't as fast as the drivers ahead. Nevertheless, another podium finish was always going to be a positive result for the rookie. The last few laps saw a lot of action from the drivers fighting outside the points, always eager to prove themselves and close the first round of the championship with a good momentum ahead of the second, which will take place next week in Portugal. In the end, Maciej Gladysz saw the checkered flag long before anyone else did, earning himself a first win in Eurocup-3 ahead of Jules Caranta and Mattia Colnaghi. And it is the Italian-Argentinian driver that leaves Spain as championship leader with 47 points, 4 more than Gladysz, with Cárdenas and Egozi tied for third place on 26 points, just 1 more than Cota and Caranta, rounding up an incredible top 6 field exclusively by rookies. Emerson Fittipaldi and Nikola Tsolov are the first veteran drivers with 24 and 22 points respectively. In just a few days, the Eurocup-3 Spanish Winter Championship will resume its action at the Autódromo Internacional do Algarve, with 3 more races before finishing the season in March back in Spain.